Good morning. How are you this morning? I have had major crash after major crash after major crash. Let me see if my microphone is working. It is. Boy, that was terrible. That was terrible. I started at like 9 and started at 9. I was busy doing my thing, and my computer just crashed. It just crashed right when I went to do it live. I was like, "What is this about?" Now look, I think I've got it so screwed up now that I'm on the black screen there. So anyway, I had everything set up, and I didn't have it, and it kept crashing. And so, like right now, I'm just like, "What was that all about? Was that really necessary?" I mean, seriously, pretty wild stuff. Pretty wild stuff. So, anyway, is that a good start for Monday morning? Probably not. Probably not. Man, I've got so many things going on, and it's like I have no time for anything. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And I mean, I'd like to say that it's leading to significant business. And what I mean by significant business is actual dollars going in my back pocket, but it's not. And we'll talk about that. Let's set now. We're 2 minutes in. Let's set the show so that we can feel better about the situation. Let's get on a better foundation. So, my name is John Schenk, and I am the founder and managing broker of Deerwood Realty in St. Louis. We help buyers buy homes. We help sellers sell homes. That's what we do. That's the main thing. Do we do a little commercial work? Yes. But we're not the largest brokerage in St. Louis. We're not, and we're never going to be. Okay. We don't have the most transactions in St. Louis, and we're never going to. We don't do the most volume in St. Louis, and we're never going to. This is not how I've set up the brokerage. I've set up the brokerage to foster a one-on-one relationship between the buyer and the agent. As far as like teams, we are a team. We're a hybrid team. I have another colleague, Jan, who works with me. Let's say I have to go somewhere and I can't show a house, or I've got a previous commitment. She'll go and show the house, and then I'll take back over as soon as I'm available, which is usually right the next showing. That's how we do it. We don't fight over commissions between us because we're totally good. We're totally good. We're not out stealing each other's clients, and we're not doing that. So that's what I do. Now, I also read a lot of stuff on the internet. I've spent a lot of time on the internet, and I've gotten to the point where what I read in real estate market reports and what I read in the real estate press is not always what I see. Sometimes it is, and so I now run commentary on the real estate media and what I'm seeing versus what is being sold is true. I like to have a lot of fun with certain types of articles. A lot of the how-to articles, how to clean your kitchen was yesterday. I thought that was stupid, and I thought it was funny at the same time. And so I read that to everyone, and we went over it, and we just try to have a good time. How would you best fit in here? Well, if you want to watch the show, that's good. If you wanted to subscribe to the show, that'd be even better. If you'd want to be a part of the chat, that to me would be the best thing. But I also know that it's 9 o'clock on a Monday morning. You're probably off at work. You're probably off doing the things you need to do to be successful. And so I totally get it. My main goal for the live stream is just to have a place to go to talk about these events that are just boggles the mind when I read some of these stories and how quote unquote professionals approach things. So with that, let me tell you about what today's show will be about. I plan on doing a segment on some of the latest trends as defined by Google search. We will not talk about the Grammys. So if you were waiting for that, you'll be very disappointed. We will not be talking anything sporting related today. There will be no basketball coaching news. There'll be nothing like that. What we will be talking about, let me get my list. We'll be talking about luxury homes in Phoenix. A little bit later, we'll talk about the Fed having raised rates. Now what? And then there was an article that caught my eye that was about the new rules for getting a mortgage. So this is the idea. The idea is that because of the pandemic, there's now new rules for getting a mortgage. Now, do I believe that? I don't know. Let's look at the article and see. Some of the fun I have is I don't necessarily read the articles ahead of time. I have no idea what they say. Sometimes that burns me. That's kind of fun. Sometimes it makes the broadcast go better. So anyway, with that, let's get started on something that is close to my heart, and that is a showing report. Now, our showing report is what, when I go show houses, I kind of like to talk about what I see, what stands out at me, so that should you start your search going and looking for new houses to buy, or should you be thinking about selling your house, staging ideas and things that turn off agents and irritate them and irritate buyers and sellers, this would be for you. And so let's just go over it. I had one showing yesterday. First off, it was fine because I could schedule it. Believe it or not, one of the more irritating things is when people make it so that you can't see a house. As an example, I believe maybe last weekend there was a condo, and they were doing a no-show until the open house in one of the hottest markets ever because they are not smart. They are bad agents. You say, why do people do stupid things as real estate agents? Well, look, there's a lot of real estate agents. I can't even imagine. I don't even have any idea how many thousands of real estate agents there are in just the St. Louis metro area. And I'm saying St. Louis metro area. I include St. Charles, and I include Jefferson County. I mean, there's a lot. Okay. And by my own paper napkin, back of the napkin calculation last year, there were probably close to 6,000 new agents added. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Every time I look at a listing, it's someone I've never heard of. And I used to kind of know pretty much everybody in the game. Now, you may say, John, I don't understand. If there's 8,000 active agents and then there's 6,000 agents that just added last year, what's that about? I apologize. I think my math is off. I mean, there's just a significant number of agents. I don't know the current agent count in all three counties. And one of those problems is because of the way that I calculate the data. I'm in 3 real estate boards. I'm in the St. Louis Association of Realtors, which is the largest real estate board in St. Louis. And then I'm a member of the Jefferson County Board of Realtors, which is, I believe, the Gateway Board, and then or Southern Gateway Board. And then there's also the St. Charles Association of Realtors. I do business in all 3 of those places. I happily support the boards in those places because I just feel like that's something I'm obligated to do as a real estate agent and a real estate broker. Now, I don't have to. I could just be part of the St. Louis Association, or just be part of St. Charles Association, or just be part of Jefferson County. But I just feel like that's important as an agent. If you have the ability to do so, you should support the board. And so I do. Now, getting back to the showing report. So it was easy. It was easy to go to the house. This particular buyer is deciding between a house and a condo. They have the area pretty much picked out where they want to live. It's now just a question of finding whether or not they want to live in, like I said, a house or a condo. So we went to this house, and she brought her father, which is totally good. If I could break off for just a moment, here's the thing. I am a real estate agent. I'm a real estate agent, and I earn a living literally helping people buy and sell houses. And so if I'm taking a young person out on a showing, I'm thrilled if they want to bring their parents. However, I really don't want to hear about how we should offer, if there's 14 offers on a house, I don't really want to hear about how in 1980 you offered 20% less than asking and got the house. Not relevant. I also don't really care. Like, I don't really want to deal with anything other than showing the house. Okay. Like, I'm showing it to my buyer. You're coming along and I hope you support us. But at the same time, like, I'm just not interested in some sort of commentary on the market when your income is not derived primarily through the buying and selling of homes. So anyway, my buyer's father came along, a very wonderful man, very nice, and 100% on ball, like on task. Not one of these odd people that's always trying to stab you in the back. Your real estate agent's dumb. Your real estate. It's like, good Lord. Now, I think everybody just wants the best for their kids. I know that's the way I think about the children in my house, and I just want the best for them. But you're not helping when you're giving them advice from 25 years ago. So anyway, what about this house? So we went in. It's a split level. Now, this alone, do you know what a split level is? I suspect you do. So basically, you walk in and you don't have a choice. You're either going up or down. Okay, that's the split level. I don't like them, but to me, I get it. Here's a couple reasons why I don't like it. One, in most split levels, the garage takes up a portion of the basement, probably at least half. And so what they do is they take the main level and then they take that little section that's finished and they call that square footage. So compared to a ranch, it comes out as a larger square footage in the calculation of real estate agents now, or at least ones with some sort of integrity, and also with the county, at least in St. Louis. So we go in and I mean, like a split level, it's just almost like there's only one design. I mean that in the nicest way possible. So you go upstairs and to the left, it's going to be the family room / living room. Okay. Straight ahead is going to be the kitchen. And when you go right, it's going to be likely to be 3 bedrooms with a bathroom in the hallway. Okay. And the master bathroom is going to have an ensuite, and that's the house. It's the house and maybe it's different in some other parts of the country, but like this is the house. It's not interesting. It's not new. They built this house in 1978. It's what, 40, I'm 44 years old, coming up on 45. I was born in 1977. So, I mean, this is just not interesting. But, so if you if you would be a fan of the split level, then there's plenty of them available, and they're typically priced a little bit lower than a ranch, on a per square footage basis. The only other house that I think is less liked or less desired is a house with a mansard roof, which I understand why people hate them. They're ugly is all get out. But at one point in time, they weren't that ugly. It's just somehow things have changed. The reason for the mansard roof is so that you can have a higher, a higher second floor where you don't have to worry about, the shape of the roof determining the space in a negative way. Anyway, as we continue, we went straight to the outside. There was another family that was looking at the house. Now, in this, just like my own realtor ethics or my own realtor ways to do things, is if somebody's looking at the house with me, I mean, it's annoying, but they should go one direction and we'll go the other, and then we'll just cross and everything will be fine. You certainly wouldn't want to be up right behind the people that are looking at the houses with your buyers. That's kind of stupid. Anyway, we go to the backyard. Beautiful backyard, flat. The ground is sloped away from the home. You go in the house, down in the basement. On the left-hand side is that, second living room, essentially. There was some water penetration that appeared to be on the wood that was on the wall. Then there was the 2-car garage. And then basically that was it. The main floor bathroom, that would be really the guest bathroom, was old, needed work. The master bedroom or master bathroom off of the master bedroom was remodeled and looks very, very nice. The systems, it was fascinating. They went all electric. The whole house was electric. In St. Louis, there's no need to go all electric. We have access to natural gas. So it's a little interesting, but anyway, that was the house. Now, this particular home had a lot of, what do I want to say? Siding? No, it had a design to it that had a lot of wood that you were going to have to paint always, and then you were going to have to maintain. And my particular buyer isn't going to be one of those people out there on a ladder painting. And then now we're paying somebody to do it, and it's like, this is never going to stop. And so my recommendation in this case would be, put up siding, be done with it. Siding on 3 sides. Now, maybe somebody's not comfortable with that, but look, it's a hell of a lot easier than painting and scraping and replacing wood boards. And just as an example, this house, under the garage under the house above the garage is a piece of wood, kind of like soffit, but not really. And it was rotten, and it was going to need to be replaced sooner rather than later. Strictly because the water just comes right down the side of the house. Whereas if you had siding, it wouldn't even be an issue. You wouldn't even know it was there. So it had new windows, but the flooring was going to need to be redone. And it wasn't so much that the project was out of the reach of my buyer as much as it was, even if you did those things, the buyer, didn't feel like it was going to be worthwhile. And so we didn't put in an offer. One of the things that I want to say about that now, like, I'll probably cut this chapter right now and then move on to another one. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about that's kind of fascinating for me as a real estate agent is, okay, yesterday I had an event that I had to be at 4:45. The offers for this house were due by 8. Now, by the way, this 4:45, I was going to be gone for pretty much the rest of the evening up until my live stream at 9. So anyway, we're sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself that if my buyer wants to write an offer on this house, I'm going to have to speed home and put this offer together. Now, for the most part, once you work with buyers and write an offer with them, your offer framework kind of stays similar. So you just basically change the address, change the dates, change a couple other things, and you're ready to go. And so I wasn't really worried about that. I get a little worried when someone's at work because, like if there's a couple, one of them's at work and the other one's at a different job and they're far away, maybe they can't get to their phone, and now I've got to, I need to get this offer in by 8. That gets a little dicey. But these are the things that worry you as a real estate agent. It's kind of funny because it's an unnecessary fear or concern, because you never know if a buyer's going to be interested in writing an offer or not. And I submit to you as an example, I had a house that I showed on Sunday that I was pretty convinced that my buyers were going to put in an offer, and they didn't. And you say, well, how do you know they didn't put an offer? Well, they didn't call me to tell me they want to put in an offer. I sent over the comparable sales. I sent over what I thought we should offer. I sent over the structure I thought would be the best. I didn't hear back. Now, you say, oh, are you angry? Or no, that's not how this business works. It's very much, there's a lot of emotion in it, okay? And if you're not careful, you can get yourself caught up in playing games that aren't there. You're playing games that don't exist, that they're only existing to you. And there's no winning those games. So for example, if I call my buyer and say, why didn't you put an offer on this house, or why didn't you contact me? That's a aggressive stance that leads to nothing. Why would you punish someone, or why would you be aggressive with someone that doesn't want to write an offer on a house? It doesn't make any sense. The best move in this situation is, you know what? If the buyer wanted to buy the house, I guarantee you they would call me. I guarantee you they would text me, and I guarantee you we would go on from there. That's just kind of how it works. Now, in this particular house on Sunday, I knew that we were going to be under the gun for writing an offer. And while I was nervous, you have to understand, like, you show many, many, many houses, and there's no offers that come on your side. You're not writing an offer. It's not 1-to-1. It's probably 1-to-100. Okay. And right now I'm probably running 1-to-150, and I'm probably getting an acceptance rate of 1-to-40 on an offer. It's really bad. So anyway, what I like to do with my buyers is, now this is first time home buyers or any buyers, is look, I like to get to the house as quick as we can. I like to go through it, and then I like to give them time to consider writing an offer, meaning like a day or two. This is not what a lot of agents will do. A lot of agents will show the house and then they will ask for an answer or response immediately, because they feel like, that's beneficial to them and beneficial to the buyer. I don't think that's beneficial, because what it ends up doing is, as we're forcing people into a box, at a certain point in time, the people just want to get out of the box, and they will fight, and they will do an alligator death spiral out of the box. I mean, they will just viciously fight. And so I don't want, and you say, well, John, what does that mean? How does that happen? Well, let's just say you go to a house, and then the next thing is say, what the agent, instead of saying, are you interested in writing an offer, the agent says something like confirming, like, what number will we put as our top line on this house? What is our best offer on this house? So we're already assuming, we're thinking past the sale. I don't do that. I don't want to do that, because what we're doing all of a sudden is we're just really sliding someone into a house, or making decisions for them. And I don't want to be the one to do that. And where it breaks down is all of a sudden a good real estate agent that's a professional that really knows the game, has you into a contract for a house that you don't even want, and then has you purchasing the house. Like, you're done. You bought it because you just went along this path. And but before that happens, a lot of times during the inspection, you might have a talk with your spouse, and you're like, I don't really like this house. I don't understand why are we even writing an offer? What's going on here? And that's my issue is look, when somebody wants to make an offer on a house, I want to make sure that they are really interested in buying the house, because it's a waste of my time, in my opinion. And it's a waste of energy. If I have to try to get out of an offer, an accepted offer, it's just terrible. It's terrible to me. So I want that conviction for my buyers when they go and they look at homes. When they say they want to buy a house, then we write an offer. If they don't say anything, then that means they don't want to write an offer. Sometimes we go look at a house again the second day, and they think the first day they were like, this house is great, and the second day they're like, this house is trash. That happened to me about 2 weeks ago. We looked at 2 houses that were terrible. The third house was just not terrible. Okay, that was the line. But it was so much better than the 2 that we had looked at that my buyer had considered writing an offer. I spoke with them the next day, and they're like, no, this was just one of those things where we thought we wanted something, but it was just it was relative. It was based on the other 2, and it's not really what we're interested in. So the thing is I was able to show the house, no complaints, no issues, and go do my things in the evening without causing any duress for me. Now, you have to kind of know what sort of buyers you work with. Some buyers are immediately yeses or nos. If I were a buyer, I would be like this. I would go to the house once. I'd be like, yeah, I'm kind of interested in writing an offer. Let me think about it. And then I'd spend the rest of the day and the rest of the evening kind of, every once in a while it would show up in the back of my mind, like, am I serious? Is this really the house that I want? Excuse me. And then after that, we would, if I woke up the next morning and it still seemed like a good idea, we'd write an offer. I recognize that other people, they can, they make a decision in like 5 minutes, and they're like, it's most of the time, it's very easy to make the decision of no. It's a lot harder to make the decision of yes, I want to pursue this house, because that involves a whole bunch of different things. Like, now you actually, now you have to actually write the offer. Now you actually have to put down money. Now you actually have to go through the emotions of waiting to see if the seller chooses you in this market, and then under what terms, and then can you get a mortgage? And it just spirals and spirals and spirals. So much easier to say no. But anyway, let's go on to the first article. It's 24 minutes in. And I have two articles today. The reason why I have two articles from Google Trends is I thought they were interesting because it was sort of talking about the same thing, but not. And let me get into that with you here. Oh, goodness. I don't know if it's even going to show up. So that doesn't look real good. Now do you have it? Yeah, now you have it. Okay. Okay. This is Jack Dorsey. Now, Jack Dorsey has a soft spot in my heart because Jack Dorsey went to school in St. Louis. He went to high school at Bishop DeBerg High School, which is less than, I would say less than 10 minutes away from my house. Probably less than, it's 10. It's a good 10. It's in the city, but it's on the edge. It's in a nice part. It's in a very cool part of town. At least my opinion of it is. And so anyway, the first time that he came to St. Louis, after he was big time Twitter guy, he threw out a baseball at the Cardinals game, and it was just kind of odd because like no one knew who he was then, except the people that knew who he was, if that makes any sense. He's an odd character, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just, I don't know. He's an interesting character. He's done things that have been bad, and then he's done some things that have been good. So it's kind of hard to put him in one spot. And I think that at times he believes things a certain way, and he looks at things a certain way, and they're not true. But this is something we probably all do. So I don't want you to think that I'm just kicking this guy. That's not my intent. So anyway, here we go. Jack Dorsey blames himself for centralized internet, missed the early days of the web like IRC and more. Now, what happens with our press now is that if somebody tweets something, you take that tweet and you write a whole article about it. And that's exactly what happened with this. Now, the only reason why it got picked up on my screen is because in the Google search trends, I mean, it just blew up. And really, if it's not Grammy related or college basketball related, it's not showing up today in the Google search trends. So we had to kind of go in a different space. And so we did. So it says Jack Dorsey himself blames himself partially for what happened on the internet, with the Twitter founder saying that he is part of what made the centralized internet as to what the present reflects. The tech magnate said that he missed the early days of the web back when IRC protocols were present, and the email with PGP was the main channel for communications. Now, when you've built a quote unquote successful product and you're working in a different product now, you can do this. You can lament it while sleeping on a pillow full of money, which is why I don't take. I'm sure he's going to be okay. I feel like tomorrow morning he's going to wake up and he's still going to have billions of dollars and he's going to be okay. So this is out of Las Vegas. Okay. It says Jack Dorsey speaks during a press event, but that's just the like headline. If that makes any sense. That's the byline of the art. I don't know how to say that. That's the description of the article. So that's not the article. So then it says, the world focused on many services with the internet in its early days, and the World Wide Web brought many features for everyone from every side it has available. Jack Dorsey said that these parts were gone through the progression of the internet that arrived when it became centralized, something which he is partly to blame. The former Twitter CEO said he regrets having a role in making the centralized internet as the public knows it, particularly as corporations damage its nature compared to what it offered earlier. The public is the ones mainly affected by it, as they are the consumers of the online connection, needing its services and having lives intertwined with it. Now, let me just go over my 2 cents, because I feel like I was born during the time of the internet. Again, we didn't even have the internet until I was in college. So originally we had something called America Online, and they would send you these discs, and then you would get on this. You'd get a free disc, and then you'd go online, and it was all within America Online. Okay. And then after that, it started to be like different places you could go. Now I can remember vividly going to ESPN, and then that was it, because I didn't have anywhere else to go. there was no real search, and there was no reason to go anywhere. Like you still got a newspaper, you still, it was anyway, it's gone now. But then you built these websites, and people would go to these websites, and they would go there through search, and it was fine. It worked out great. But what he's talking about is this, it started to be like you go to Facebook, and then you do everything through Facebook, or you go to Twitter and you do everything through Twitter. So like all of a sudden you're like caught in a spot to go other places. That's the centralization that I believe he's talking about. Now, I'm not a tech genius or anything like that, but I totally understand the waxing for the days when you just could go anywhere and you didn't have to be bound by this centralization of the internet. For example, before Facebook and before Twitter, and to some degree before Google, you could go anywhere you wanted. There was no such thing as like there was no one could ban you from the internet because it was available to everyone. It just became when people started going to Facebook exclusively, you could get banned from Facebook, and that would be a bad thing, because all of a sudden now there was a lot of people that couldn't get the information. If you're banned from Twitter, you couldn't get the information. And so that's what's happened. It's understanding. I understand what they're thinking there. It says, according to Engadget's report, the Twitter founder said he missed the early days when there were still Usenet and IRC protocols that the internet respected during that time. Back then, users were at the simple times of the internet despite being decentralized, unlike now that everything is complex despite the all-in-one services available for their use. This isn't a very good written article. The internet is centralized. What does it mean? Centralized on the internet means that everything you need is in one place with one manager and one company behind it. These are the trends in the internet nowadays, with products and companies focusing on bringing all the services into one place and giving the public many choices for a single service for all their needs. One example of this is the social media platforms that bring all-in-one service that gives the public many features to use on the internet, from a social network that would broadcast media and entertainment to a communication service down to other features like podcast capabilities, games, marketplaces, and more. Dorsey had a massive role in the internet's progression before, and it talked about the many developments it had made what it was in the present. It is true that the internet is centralized in a way that it brings everything in the world has now, and almost all services are heavily reliant on that, with people's lives revolving around it. So, not a great article, not a great writing, but an article based on a tweet. Okay, so I'm not. How do I say it? I think he'll be fine. I do wish for like a more decentralized internet, in the sense that it would be nice I don't like to see people get canceled for their opinion. And so that brings us to another fascinating issue. Let me just make sure nobody's in the chat to respond to. Nobody's in the chat. Here we go. This is on Bloomberg, and it says, and I'm sorry that this is this way with all the ads and all the stuff, the banners and stuff. This is the best article I could get. I read through two other ones. Like, you saw the quality of the one we just read. It was terrible. So this is the best I could do. And here we go. Oh gosh, I'd hit the wrong button and I was like, what? Okay, so here we go. Elon Musk takes up a 9.2 stake in Twitter after hinting at shakeup. The Tesla CEO has regularly questioned Silicon Valley giants. Shares in the platform jump as much as 26%, the most since 2018. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jack Dorsey left Twitter. I think he might still be on the board, but he's not in the everyday management of the company. They put this fellow in there, and now they just ban stuff left and right. It's gotten even worse now that Dorsey's gone. And Twitter is a dumpster fire. I mean, I'm on Twitter and I like it, but if you're not a big account, you don't go anywhere. No, you don't get any traction, number one. And number two, it's just like, if you have an opinion that's not with the narrative, it's just crushed. And then there's like automated bots that get rid of all of your content. They flag your content if you say stuff, and it's just terrible. So I just wanted to go through this because I thought it was interesting. This is as of this morning. It says Elon Musk took a 9.2% stake in Twitter to become the platform's biggest shareholder a week after hinting he might shake up the social media industry. Twitter shares surged as much as 26% after Musk's purchase was revealed Monday in a regulatory filing. The stock's biggest intraday increase in more than 4 years. The stake is worth about $2.89 billion based on Friday's market close. Musk, 50, polled his more than 80 million followers on Twitter last month, asking them whether the company adheres to the principles of free speech. After more than 70% said no, he asked whether a new platform was needed and said he was giving serious thought to starting his own. It says Musk has been one of the, and I follow, full disclosure, I follow Elon Musk. I am fascinated by his ability to market himself like he has done here. I mean, this will be the story all day long. And, you know, when you think about Elon Musk, you automatically think about Tesla. You automatically think of SpaceX. I mean, it's just fascinating how he has just gotten himself into the lives of everyone. So anyway, it says Musk has been one of the biggest personalities on Twitter and has regularly run into trouble on the platform. The Tesla chief executive officer is currently seeking to exit a 2018 deal with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission that put controls in place related to his tweeting about the electric car maker. The announcement will be yet another major test for new Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal. This is the guy that really is messing with Twitter and making it terrible, who replaced Jack Dorsey after he unexpectedly resigned in November. Agrawal vowed to increase accountability, make decisions faster, and to improve product execution. The company set ambitious goals for growth, including increasing annual revenue to $7.5 billion and getting to 350 million daily users by the end of 2023. It's going to be very hard for them to get to the 350 million daily users when regularly they kick people off of the platform that might actually have huge accounts. It's bad. It says Musk posted a cryptic meme in December after Twitter announced that Agrawal was taking over from Dorsey as Twitter's CEO. It depicted Agrawal as a Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin and Dorsey as a secret police head Nikolai Yezhov being shoved into water. Now, I think that's funny. It says it looks like Elon has his eyes laser set on Twitter, adding that the stake could lead to a more aggressive ownership role. Twitter is particularly vulnerable to the outside pressure because, unlike Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Snap, the company's founders don't have special voting over control of its future. The company has just recovered from activist pressure by Elliott Management that started in 2020, which led Dorsey, who was serving as second stint as CEO of Twitter, to set a succession plan. It's unclear what Musk is planning with his stake. The filing with the SEC shows that the date of the event that triggered the disclosure was March 14th. This type of form is used often to indicate the investor isn't seeking to acquire control of a company or to influence who controls it. Musk, already the world's richest person according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, has made about $1.1 billion on his holdings since March, based on the pop in Twitter sales in early trading Monday. Twitter is under pressure to move faster in building new products. The company has set ambitious revenue and user growth goals to convince skeptical investors that it was serious about expanding its business. While Twitter has grown steadily for years, its stock gains have lagged behind industry peers. Musk has lambasted Twitter's recent development of profile pictures linked to non-fungible tokens, saying the social media company has the wrong priorities. And that's absolutely right. Okay? That's absolutely right. And let's talk about Twitter and Elon Musk. I'm actually going to pull the base frame for that. Now, this Elon Musk is no idiot. Don't kid yourself. Okay. Now, I do not think that he bought into Twitter with a 9.2% passive share because he wanted to make $1 billion pop when the stock went off once people knew what he had acquired. I don't think that. $1 billion to him, I hate to say this, $1 billion to Elon Musk is like nothing. I mean, it's really nothing. If he wants to do something, it's the same reason why Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post. He didn't care what the price of the Post was. He wanted to be able to take his message and send it out there to the people. And his message of just left-wing hatred is just, you know, or advocating left-wing hatred of everything else is obvious. Musk is not that way. Has not shown the propensity. He thinks the way he thinks, and he's fine with you thinking the way you think. And it's very, very fascinating. What will that do? Now, look, I suspect, and I could be totally wrong. I think that this is a billionaire who is intrigued by the social media platform Twitter enough that he's buying this so that he can pay a little more attention to it. Warren Buffett would often talk about how he'd buy a share in a company just so that he could kind of track it a little bit better. It kind of made him want to track it a little closer if he owned a stake in it. It's kind of like when you bet on a football game, you're much more invested in the football game than you would be if you hadn't. For people that like to gamble, I don't particularly fall into that category, but I suspect one of two things. One, he's just watching right now. He's just watching. Does he need to buy all of Twitter to influence it? No. Can he buy more shares? Yes. But you're not going to stop him. He's not, this guy, if he wants to do something, he's shown the ability to do it. Now, he may be stretched thin, but he's just kind of getting in there. Now, you tell me, if he violates the terms of service on Twitter, do you think he'll be removed? And that to me is very powerful. That to me is very powerful because good luck enforcing your terms of service when somebody owns 9% of your company. I can't imagine that they would pull that. So he basically bought himself a public square that he can speak freely. And I think that's hilarious. Okay. It was expensive, but again, drop in the bucket for him. I would actually, he has a way to understand Silicon Valley that few do. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because he was there and when things were going and with PayPal and Peter Thiel. I don't know. I just know that he is not shy about fighting the woke culture. It just isn't. And he sees where the dangers are in some of these free speech issues. He sees it. And it will be fascinating to watch him. He may do nothing. You may never see anything about Twitter again. Okay. And then he might just go and shake some things up over there. But it's not his primary business. I don't think. I think Tesla's it. I think SpaceX is closer to his heart than that. I don't know what the Boring Company is doing right now. But I just think that this is a great development. Should he be able to, I suspect he has an idea what he's going to do. It's just going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. So I wanted to bring that to you because, look, no one in the morning wakes up to a tweet by me, and no one sets their day to that tweet. No one talks about it. But when Elon Musk tweets something, when Elon Musk gets out there, he can move markets, and he's already shown to do that now. The stock is up 1.1 billion, or he's made 1.1 billion from his shares just at the disclosure of the purchase. Fascinating. So let's move on. We only have a limited amount of time as usual. I don't want to waste yours. So let's go to the Phoenix, Arizona market. Now, these are the luxury homes for sale here. The first two are new construction. The second one is not finished. So I'm not interested. These are in Paradise Valley. I looked at these a while ago. Not interested. New construction. These are all new construction. All of these new construction homes, $10 million and above. Just fantastic. Then we get to this house here. 8.9 million, 4 bedrooms, 5 baths, 7,500 square feet on a 1.74 acre lot. And I'd like to look at that one. It's only got 3 pictures, so that means that this one is also new construction, or they're just showing it and there's not. It says buy now to have input regarding finishes and enjoy your penthouse in the sky. So it's also new construction. So I'm sorry that I teed it off. This one here I've seen before, so it's not that interesting. So let's get to a more traditional style. I mean, we're only in the $6 million range now, but let's take a look at this home here. 5301 Wonder View. It's a been on the market 115 days. 8-car garage built in 2010. And based on the stuff we were looking at yesterday, this is 21,000 square feet. But I mean, yesterday, the price per square foot was in the it was 10,000. It was ridiculous. Property history, listing removed. It was started listing in 2021 for $5 million, and they actually raised the price. Property details. Rarely does an estate of this grandeur and opulent finishes become available, inclusive of a 7,000 square foot lower level. I don't know what that means. This home has it all. Imported unique stone and marble throughout all 3 levels. The dream home has a complete butler kitchen, large media room, expansive indoor pool, sauna, and steam room, 2 beautifully done offices, 1 with a cappuccino machine, an 8-car garage, plenty of room for large vehicles, boats, and quads. Picturesque sunsets daily over the mountain views, resort-style backyard with plenty of room for entertaining and enjoying the amazing Phoenix weather. So, I mean, let's look at that. 1 out of 32 pictures. Is this a dream home? This is not my dream home. It's just not. It's not a complaint. It's just, I mean, we're 9 pictures in. We haven't even gotten inside. Of course, there's the pool. I like the hot tub and the pool combo. Always have. Thought that was cool. Now, there's the outdoor living space that I really find interesting. Now we're inside. Okay. And I mean, it's gorgeous, right? This to me is a little bit, it's like a little too much. But that's me. It's a beautiful stove with a range hood. I mean, it's funny because you look at some of these homes and there's only so much you can do. You know, I mean, it's still a window. Ooh, a stairwell, Ooh, drapes. I mean, basically, a tray ceiling. I mean, there's your jacuzzi tub. There's your indoor pool. Now, the fact that it has an indoor pool and an outdoor pool, kind of neat, right? There's a sauna. I mean, I don't know what the maintenance would be on this home, but it's just wild. So anyway, that's $6.2 million, Phoenix, Arizona. That's the first house we're looking at. Now let's take a look at this one. This one's $6 million. The thing I like about the Phoenix real estate market, or the thing I like about Phoenix real estate or the home design, is that you can have these spaces that are outdoor spaces that blend perfectly with the inside. So like you can have like these windows and doors and you can open them and you can have the outside right there. Whereas in St. Louis, that could only happen really for maybe a month or 2, starting probably in about 2 weeks here in St. Louis, and then lasting, like I said, about a month. And then it gets too hot and miserable to keep the doors open. One thing I was talking about, talking to a fellow that is moving from Las Vegas, and he said there's no mosquitoes in Las Vegas. And I found that to be fascinating. I can't stand them, and they're everywhere here. $6 million, 5 bedrooms, 6 baths, 7,000 square feet. So, I mean, from the other house, we're really going down. 8-car garage built in 1998. Property details. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. That can be evidenced by the amazing picture view of the city from multiple vantage points in this inviting home. Situated on the south side of Camelback Mountain on almost an acre, this property will appeal to multiple lifestyles. In addition to the 5 bedrooms and 6 baths, 2 full kitchens, game and media room, home theater, pool spa, and putting green, an elevator for ease of access, and the heated, cooled, oversized garage will handle multiple cars and live. Shown by appointment only, no sign, no lockbox. Lower level of home, stained glass pane doesn't convey for sentimental reasons. 76 pictures is too much for me. We'll get through as many as we want. I don't have a problem with not putting a for sale sign out on a $6 million house. I get it. I'm just looking here. That doesn't look like a good view. It's just rocks. Oh, look at my rocks. Now there's your view that you're supposed to enjoy. There's your outdoor space. It's so far not where we need to be. With these other homes. I don't like the way this is set up. With the one side of the house, you can't really. You're just looking at rocks. Now the other side's cool. Theater room. I'm cool with that, but I like a couch and a comfortable recliner. You can tell it gets hot in there because they have a fan. So I don't know. I mean, that's what you're trying to pay for, is the view. That's it. Kind of interesting how that's set up that way. And it's not on a big lot. It's on an acre lot. They don't have much room for an outdoor space, I guess. Anyway, that's about where I'm at on that one. One more and then we'll head on out. Well, look at this one, $5.5 million. I mean, it's 10,000 square feet, 8 bedrooms, 11 baths. That's a little bit more style. Built in 1985, 128 days on the market. It's off a golf course. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep going here. 128 days on the market. There's the pool. There's the pool, and it overlooks the golf course. I mean, that's an entrance. That's nice. I like that. I think I've seen this house before. They'll kind of mix together after a while. Look at that outdoor space. That's kind of what I'm talking about. You need if you're going to have a multi-million-dollar home in 2022, you need a huge outdoor space. And it has to be done well. It has to flow with the rest of the house. This is just my opinion. But you can see that's something we'll never have in St. Louis, is this ability to go from the kitchen straight outside to a wonderful area. It's just not possible here. I mean, it is, but it's a pain, and there's not enough time to enjoy it. So here we go. 25 pictures. I like that. And that's a very fascinating bar area. Okay. Moving on. We're going to get to our 2 articles now. Let's do that. Okay. I need to check something. Actually, I need to do this. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to leave that like it is. Okay. Let's continue. So there's 2 articles today that I wanted to go over. One of them is an article that's a little bit late, but I just think it's important to talk about. It says the Federal Reserve raised interest rates for the first time since 2018. And so it says the Federal Reserve has raised interest rates Wednesday for the first time since 2018, kickstarting its efforts to tackle the country's highest inflation in 4 decades. Now, they've been asleep at the wheel for the last, 6 months? So I don't really expect them to fix this problem. It says the central bank raised its benchmark rate by a 1/4 percentage point, marking the beginning of the end of the ultra-easy money policies that have been in place since the early days of the pandemic. And I believe that this is the cause of the massive amounts of inflation. I believe the Fed thinks that they're God, and I believe that they're going to run into a very, very big problem coming up. But they'll never admit it. No one will ever be fired, and we'll just continue going down the road. It says additional rate hikes are likely to follow in the coming months. On average, Fed policymakers say they expect interest rates, which have been near zero, to climb to around 1.9% by the end of this year. There's the Fed banking interest rate, and then there's the mortgage rate. It's already risen almost 1 point since they put in their rate hike. As I looked around the table of today's meeting, I saw the committee that's acutely aware of the need to return the economy to price stability and determined to use our tools to do exactly that. They don't have any tools. They also don't dominate the world economy like they used to. As evidence of that, see Russia and the sanctions placed on them and the value of the ruble. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell told reporters after the central bank's rate-setting committee held its first in-person meeting since the beginning of the pandemic. It says annual inflation reached 7.9% last month, just in 1 month, reflecting the steepest raise in prices since 1982. Price increases have proved larger and more long-lasting than the Fed expected as businesses struggle to keep pace with the surging consumer demand. This was a man in Jerome Powell that said that the inflation is transitory and that wouldn't be an issue. And he's completely wrong. It's punishing for everyone. If you're a middle-income person, you've got room to absorb some inflation. If you're at the lower end of the income spectrum, it's very hard because you're spending most of your money already on necessities, and that price is going up. That's right. Inflation is a tax on the poor. And so, Powell is not poor. Powell has a 6-figure-a-year job, and when he quits that job, he's going to get 6-figure speaking fees minimum. So he's not someone that would even have any idea what middle-class people are doing right now. Totally disconnected from the real world. It said the Fed faces a tricky balance. The central bank is walking a tightrope as it tries to tamp down spending just enough to bring prices under control without tipping the economy into the recession too late. The balancing act was made even tougher by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which triggered a sharp jump in gasoline and grain prices. Those increases are further raising inflation prospects in the near term while also threatening slow economic growth. The invasion of Ukraine by Russia is causing tremendous human and economic hardship, the rate-setting committee said in a statement. The implications for the U.S. economy are highly uncertain, but in the near term, the invasion and related events are likely to create additional upward pressure on inflation and weigh on economic activity. And this is something that they were not banking on. They were not considering Russia and the invasion of Ukraine and what Russia has done in response to the sanctions placed on it by some of the world. Much of the other world just said, you know what, we're out. We're not interested in this. So you've got a real problem here. You've got the European Union and you've got the United States on an island, basically. And it's just dumb. It's just a bad situation. Fed policymakers lowered their forecast for economic growth this year to 2.8%, down from 4%. That's not good. The more money consumers are pouring into the gas tank, the more money that's being spent at the grocery store, the less money that's available for other discretionary spending. That's absolutely true. The Commerce Department reported Wednesday that consumer spending at gas stations jumped 5.3% last month, while retail sales elsewhere have declined. While the Fed's initial rate hike was modest, Powell said larger and more frequent increases could follow if inflation doesn't begin to decline soon, as officials expect. One member of the rate-setting committee, St. Louis Fed Bank President James Bullard, wanted to raise rates by 0.5 percentage point on Wednesday. What they're going to do is they're going to keep raising and raising and raising and raising, and then they're going to figure out that they missed, and then they're going to try and cut it quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And if they would just leave shit alone, seriously, just leave it alone. In fact, get rid of the Fed. I mean, it's just a terrible organization. They'd never do anything right. And anyway, in December, most Fed policymakers thought they would need to raise interest rates about 3 times this year by 0.25 percentage point each time. Since then, the inflation outlook has worsened, and policymakers telegraphed a more aggressive approach, with 2/3 of the committee members projecting 7 or more rate hikes this year. They're going to literally kill the economy. It was already teetering, and there's going to be pain. And you know who's going to suffer that pain the most? Middle-class working people. They always get it. They always get the shaft. And it's just fascinating to watch. It's just fascinating. Even so, borrowing costs are likely to remain low by historical standards. It's going to be quite some time before interest rates themselves become a headwind to the economy. We're starting from near zero levels, and the Fed is likely to move in quarter-point baby steps. Now, the Fed is at near zero levels because the economy was such a disaster. They were just trying to not make it even worse, but it's exacerbated now, and it's going to be a problem. I can't tell you that it's going to be a problem tomorrow. I can't tell you it's going to be a problem next week, but there's serious problems in the economy. It's going to ripple through every single part of it, and your political leaders aren't there to help you. They're there to fill their own pockets, and so that's what's going to happen. And you can doubt me on it. You can say I'm not truthful, whatever. I've just watched it now in my 40 years of life. I know what the politicians do. I know what team they're rooting for, and it's certainly not Team USA. It's certainly not the people of the United States. You can just look at the investments by our executive branch and others into war-torn nations to know exactly where their heart is. People with money in the bank, however, may not see increased interest on their savings account. That's what I love to see. It says rising interest rates will quickly result in higher borrowing costs for credit cards and car loans. Great. Mortgage rates have already increased. According to Fred Remack, the average 30-year home loan cost $385 last week, up from $305 a year ago. It's 4.8 right now, and this was a month ago. People with money in the bank, however, may not see increased interest on their savings account, and that's one of the biggest misnomers I think I've ever seen. Who keeps all their money in a savings bank? Like for the 0 return or the 0.4 return? Like everyone that I know that has any sort of half a brain has got their money in some sort of investment fund. None of their money's in a bank. It's ridiculous. Most banks are already swimming in deposits. They're going to be very slow to rise interest rates and pass along those benefits to savers, even if they do so at all. In fact, my argument has always been, what do they do? I mean, why would you, if inflation is 7% and a bank's paying you 2%, what are you getting? What is the point? You're losing out every time. Anyway, some online banks may be quicker to boost interest payments on deposit, though not enough to offset the erosion of value from inflation. This article is like, it's fascinating to me because it tries to explain a world that doesn't exist. No one has their money in savings. No one. It's ridiculous. Inflation proved more stubborn than the Fed expected. Absolutely. Absolutely, because they're the cause of it. And they can't come out and say that. So for much of last year, Fed officials thought that inflation would be transitory, easing on its own as the public health outlook improved and snarled supply chains were straightened out. Yeah, that forecast proved overly optimistic. Although the U.S. has now recovered more than 90% of the jobs that were lost during the pandemic, businesses continue to struggle with shortages of workers and materials. And why is that? Why is that? You know, it's because the average person that says, oh, you want me to go back to my $12 an hour job while everything is more expensive? It actually costs me it costs me more to go work than it does to sit at home. You know what? Screw you. I'll just stay home. That's really what happened. So, anyway, that says that the help we've been expecting and other forecasters have been expecting from supply side improvement, labor force partition, bottlenecks, all those things getting better, it hasn't come. That's right. And it hasn't come because you're screwing the economy over significantly. It says supply challenges could be aggravated by fresh surge of coronavirus infections in China, which has prompted an aggressive crackdown and shuttered factories in the high-tech hub of Shenzhen. While some price increases are clearly results of pandemic-related shortages, like the shortage of semiconductors that contributed to the high cost of new cars, inflation is increasingly widespread. It's infecting the cost of necessities, such as rent and electricity, as well as discretionary items like baseball tickets. I could care less about baseball tickets. Wages have also been climbing, though not as fast as prices on average. That's another thing. Great, you gave me a 2% raise. We're facing 7% inflation in 1 month. The Fed is on the lookout for the kind of wage price feedback loop that contributed to the runaway inflation of the 1970s, when workers demanded higher pay to offset rising prices and employees' growing payroll costs were passed along to consumers. That's what's going to happen. It's what's going to happen. And one warning sign of such wage price spiral would be a jump in long-term expectations for inflation. A new survey by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York finds Americans think inflation will still be 6% a year from now, but will settle back to 3.8% within 3 years. Look, if anybody can predict what's going to happen in 3 years, you're a better person than I. How about that? How about that? Because I didn't have any way to predict what happened in the last 3 years. What makes you think I'd be accurate in my predictions of anything in the future? And this is just basic stuff. Just basic stuff. So Fed raises rates. Fed's going to keep raising rates. Fed's got no idea what they're doing. Fed never will have any idea what they're doing because they don't have anybody. The only people they know that are like normal people are the people that work for them. And they don't even care about those people. So I don't care. I don't care. I just wanted to share with you that they're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to make it sound like they know that they're the adults in the room and that they know what they're talking about. But just watch. I haven't been able to buy steak in how many years? A year now? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, moving on. Now, this was a fascinating article. It's the last one we'll do today. It's one that I thought was interesting because it posits that we are we're going to have new rules for the interest rates on mortgages because of the rising interest rates, basically. If I said that wrong, I apologize. I had a thought go through my head, flash right through my head when I was speaking, and it kind of screwed things up. It's been happening lately. Anyway, the real estate market is this Tara Mastriani. I've read stuff by her before. I seem to remember it being pretty decent, but let's see if she can prove me right. This real estate market is unlike anything we've ever seen before. With too few homes for too many buyers, bidding wars are common, driving up prices. Adding to the pressure, mortgage interest rates have shot up and just crossed the 4% threshold for the first time since 2019. Now, this was on March 17th, 2022. It's up past 4.5% now. Rates averaged 4.616% for 30-year fixed-rate loans in the week ending March 17th. That was a significant bump. This pressure cooker situation has completely changed the rules of financing a home, and savvy borrowers can't just do the things the way they've done in the past. To help, we ask lenders to share the new rules for getting a mortgage today, as well as old rules to ditch. Heed the following advice, and you'll gain the edge in this ultra-competitive market. Now, let's say this. Look, you're not going to beat somebody with straight cash. Okay? You're not. You're just not. So it says, old rule, nab the best interest rate without paying points. New rule, purchase points for a lower rate. In recent years, when mortgage rates were lingering at historic lows, there was no need to use points to buy down that percentage of the interest charge. But now, with interest rates rising, buying mortgage points is a simple way to lower your mortgage interest rate and save money long term. If you have the extra funds at the time of closing, it'd be worth it to buy mortgage points. This will lower your monthly house payment and save you money long term. Let's spell out how this works in a little more detail. Thank you. Points are an upfront fee you pay to get a lower rate over the life of your home loan. Typically, 1 point lowers your mortgage rate by 0.25% and costs 1% of your loan amount. So if the current rate is interest rate is say 4% on a $500,000 loan, if you pay 1 point or $5,000 up front, your interest rates will be reduced to 3.75%. But does it really save me money, you might be asking? It sure does. Here's some math for you. If you obtain a mortgage for $500,000 on a $600,000 home at 4% lending rate, then pay 1% or $5,000 to lower your rate to 3.75%, you'll pay $71 less per month and save over $25,000 over the loan's life. That's a wise move, says our math. And this assumes that you're going to hold the house for 30 years. It assumes that you're going to put in a consistent payment for 30 years. There's a lot of things there that are a bit real world. I don't know. Anyway, old rule, get a pre-approval before submitting an offer. New rule, ask for a mortgage commitment instead. If you're at all familiar with the home buying process, you're probably aware that getting pre-approval is essential before submitting a home offer or before submitting an offer. After all, pre-approval tells the seller that a lender believes you will be eligible for financing once your application has been reviewed by an underwriter. However, to get an edge in today's market, you may ask your lender for a mortgage commitment instead. A mortgage commitment is granted by an official underwriter. This means that there will be fewer conditions on the buyer's financing. A senior loan officer with inside sales at Mortgage Network in Boston. It allows the transaction to move more seamlessly and for the seller to receive their money faster. That said, Killinger warns against getting a mortgage commitment that takes a bit longer than simply asking a lender for a pre-approval. Borrowers typically need to supply all supporting income and asset documents to the lender. Those documents then have to be removed and signed off on by a member of the underwriting team. In other words, if you're going this route, you need to plan in advance. Now, let me just say this. It's not going to matter one bit if you make an offer and you have a pre-approval or you have a mortgage commitment if someone else has cash. Don't worry about that. Old rule, target homes at prices you can afford. New rule, target homes at prices below your top budget. I don't know that that's true either. In the best, buyers were able to let prices reflect how much they would probably pay for a property. However, these days, inventory is so limited that prices are rising quickly. Buyers are offering well over the listing figure in order to win. In this environment, it's incredibly easy to spend more than you can afford on a home. To avoid getting in over your head, work closely with a mortgage lender or broker well before you start making offers. According to Nicole Ruth, Senior Vice President and Branch Manager of the Ruth team with Fairway Mortgage in Englewood, you should collaborate with your lender to set a budget as you seek pre-approval. Buyers should have a very honest conversation with their lender about what they can and cannot afford, she advises. They should make sure to factor in that they will most likely have to offer above each property's list price. Then once they have a better idea of what they can realistically afford and they know their limits, they will be ready to make a strong offer when they find the house they want. Jerry Kors, president of Merchants Mortgage, a division of the Merchants Bank in Indiana and Carmel, cautions that buyers today will also need to factor rising interest rates in their budget. Lenders should be able to estimate what their clients can afford by interest rate. Sharing that information will ensure that the borrowers know what to expect if rates continue to rise and how an increase will affect their buying power. Put simply, no matter what your budget ends up being, more information that you can gather before entering the crazy market, that's better. No, to me, I agree sort of with this. To me, it's all about how can we cover the appraisal gap. That is what the house appraises for versus what it actually sells for. If you don't have the cash to cover the gap, then you have to be buying houses at appraisal, which is tough. You need to talk with your buyers ahead of time and know this. As far as targeting prices that you can afford and targeting home at prices below your top budget, if you do any sort of real estate business for a significant amount of years like I have, you start to see things a different way. And the way I would put it to you is, look, if I have if I see three $300,000 houses, there's one of those houses that's actually worth $300,000 and the other two aren't. You say, well, what do you mean? They're all priced at $300,000. Well, one house really provides value for the buyer and the other ones don't. And now multiply that times like a billion different factors. And that's where you get the value of a real estate agent. I mean, I'm just saying, that's where it is. That's what you're paying for, is the ability to find that house that is the value proposition when there's millions of other factors to consider. Old rule, don't bother with down payment assistance. New rule, take all the help you can get. Traditionally, down payment assistance programs were meant to help first-time home buyers and those with lower incomes access home ownership. Many of these programs still have requirements that must be met in order to receive the funds. Given how tight and tough the housing market currently is, you may want to investigate whether or not you qualify. Buying a home is a huge financial undertaking, especially in competitive markets like the one we're experiencing. Buyers who are having trouble coming up with the cash for their down payment and closing costs should ask their lender about available down payment assistance programs. Often these programs can help cover these costs by providing grants or other forms of financial assistance. Bottom line, it never hurts to ask. With home prices going through the roof, every little bit of assistance helps. This is a little bit troubling in this scenario. It says, buyers who are having trouble coming up with the cash for their down payment and closing costs should ask their lender about available down payment assistance programs. Somehow, this assumes that people are somehow buying stuff. I mean, they're making offers and they can't afford the down payment for the closing. I mean, it's really, really dicey. Old rule, all loan programs are created equal. New rule, if possible, choose conventional financing. Offers with financing used to be viewed as pretty much all the time. It didn't matter whether you're using an FHA loan, a VA loan, or conventional loan to buy the property. In each case, you had roughly the same amount of bargaining power as everyone else who needed a mortgage. I think that's true. It says, these days, however, the game has changed. Sellers are definitely revealing their preferences. I don't think that's true. I don't think the sellers have any idea the differences between an FHA and conventional mortgage. According to Rick Robertson, a certified mortgage planning specialist with Axia Home Loans in Belleville, Washington, buyers should opt for conventional financing whenever possible in order to give themselves a leg up in this tough market. I don't think that's true. If there are multiple offers, conventional financing usually wins. Conventional financing typically offers more flexibility and latitude than FHA and VA loans. For example, satisfying the appraisal requirements on a government-backed loan can be more challenging than a conventional financing appraisal. Certain types of properties, particularly condominiums, may also impose additional financing requirements if an FHA or a VA loan is involved. Well, what he's saying is that there's some condos that aren't FHA approved. Well, that's true in every market. So if you're representing a buyer that's looking for a condo and they have an FHA loan, then you just have to look for that ahead of time before submitting an offer. Then you don't maybe you don't even go look at the ones that aren't FHA approved. Now, number two, people want money. Sellers want money. That's all there is to it. You're not beating cash. Okay. Now, does conventional beat FHA? Not if you have enough cash. Not if you have enough. If you offered $10,000 on an FHA loan over a conventional loan, I guarantee you they're going to take it. Now you say, well, you shouldn't have to pay a premium. Well, look, maybe they want a lower rate. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Unfortunately, bidding wars are more common than not these days. In order to put yourself in the best possible bargaining position, you'll need to make things as easy as possible for the seller. While a conventional loan program may not be an option for every buyer, if one is available to you, you should consider that first. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, the market is it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so hard. I mean, the idea that you're going to be over appraisal, over asking on every house. There's going to be 20 people putting in an offer. It's just mind-numbingly difficult over time. It's hard on me. I'm not lying. I'm telling you the truth. It's hard. Would I take on a buyer tomorrow? Yes. Yes, I would. But it's tough. It's tough. It's better to be a seller right now. Even right now, if you put your house on the market this week, it's going to sell. Maybe 2 weeks from now, I don't know. It just depends on how the Fed's going to screw things up. It just depends on how it's going to work out. I don't have a window into that. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to head out. Thank you for watching. I'll be here tomorrow at 9. Watch my sister show, Our Nature of Employment, tonight at 9. That's Central Time. And that's it. Yeah. Have a good afternoon. Have a good rest of your day. Busy day planned for me. We'll just see how it